Hi all, welcome back to another video. In this video, we will be discussing 5 common mistakes that IELTS aspirants make in speaking test. Okay, we have Abhishek for discussing the video. We have our first one, that is not answering to the question asked.
Okay, so this is a pretty common thing that many students do, not to perceive the question in the right way. They sometimes fail to answer to the question asked. It's not about part 1, part 2, or part 3. In each part, it is very important. Let's begin with part 1. Yes. In part 1, most of the questions are personal questions related to your personal life. When the question is asked, to be on the safe side, it is much better to state answer to the question asked first before going with additional elaborations or additional points related to the topic.
Sometimes I think students also have a tendency to answer the questions and elaborate it, give some examples for part 1, and then they lose track of what exactly has been asked. This is also one thing commonly seen.
Yes, so again, to be on the safer side, it's better to answer the question asked, answer to the question asked first, and then state the explanation in another 2 or 3 sentences.
If necessary, give more explanation
to it. But again, remember in part 1, the ideal length is somewhere between 2 to 3 sentences.
Yes.
Don't go round and round on the same topic, stating a confused answer. In part 1, it's advisable not to state examples because again, it would be a bit lengthy answer. Again, sometimes the examiner may be a bit confused if you go on and on stating the same thing, trying to add clarity to your answer. Think the other way around. You have just 3 sentences at hand, and within these 3 sentences, you should make the answer clear. If you have such kind of a thought in your mind, automatically your answer would be clear.
Right? Like for the essays, we write a topic sentence and we try to explain it. The same way for speaking also, you will have a main idea. For example, do you like sports? How will you answer it?
Do you like sports? So the question is about sports and whether I like sports. So I should answer to the question asked first. I could say, yes, I'm interested in sports. Right, and then give some explanation to it. From my childhood onwards, cricket is my passion. Whenever I have some free time, I try to play it with my friends. Also, when there is a live match on television, I like to watch it with my family members. Right, so give some sort of explanation, but before that, I stated answer clearly to the question asked.
So basically, your second sentence is the answer for why. Why do you like sports? First of all, you stated whether you like it or not. The second one, you're giving an explanation by answering it. Why? Or else you can say how, when,
yes, in any sort of explanation that would suit the context. Again, some examiners may keep on asking you why. So from an exam point of view, it's better if you could try and state a reason for your answer. Okay, so that's it with part 1. Now let's move on to part 2 of the speaking test. Again, in a lot of our previous videos, we have made it clear that you should focus on the main question, which is the actual question, and you should stay focused on that. Make sure that you answer to the main question asked properly. Try to look at the sub-questions. Sub-questions would automatically be covered in case of you fail to answer 1 or 2 sub-questions. Please take a momentary pause once you've completed the main question and cover the rest of the sub-questions.
Because basically they'll be definitely making notes of it.
Yes.
So in between they can check it and answer it.
Definitely. In part 2, it is not required for you to look straight at the face of the examiner, speak continuously non-stop for 2 minutes. Occasionally you can look down at the question. The notes that you've made,
so that they don't deviate from the main question.
Yes. So please be aware when you sit in front of the examiner. Your focus should be on the main question.
Because the candidate only has 2 minutes. Within that time period, they have to finish all 4 sub-questions.
Yes, that's there too. Right. In part 3, again, answer the question first. If the question is about an opinion-based question, what's your opinion on something? You should state yes or no, or what you think of this topic.
The first sentence is whether do you agree to this statement or you disagree.
Yes, that's right. And then again, give justifications, reasons, examples following that. So first of all, make it clear as on what you intend to speak, and then give reasons and examples to support your answer.
In part 3, one common mistake that I have seen is that when asked advantages and disadvantages, students, if they know more advantages, they tend to explain about the benefits of the particular question and not looking into the disadvantages or the downside.
Again, on this note, if it is just the advantages that is being asked, stick on with advantages itself. There's no need for you to state disadvantages, because the question itself is to state the advantages.
So basically, based on the question, you have to add on disadvantages also if asked.
If asked.
It's not that you know more advantages, so that you keep on talking about
Not
just
advantages
advantages.
alone, yes.
That would not be a right way of doing it.
Do it, right? So
Okay.
that's it with not
The first
answering
point.
the first point. Again, remember to answer to the question asked.
Second mistake is grammatical.
Grammatical mistakes. Of course, there is an evaluation criteria stating grammatical range and accuracy. It should always be kept in mind that serious grammatical mistakes, for example, subject-verb agreement, it is very important. It is very serious, because the listener, which is the examiner, would definitely understand and can easily catch when you make a mistake on subject-verb agreement. For example, a lot of students, I have personally heard a lot of students making a mistake like this: it depend. It should be it depends.
So can we just give some examples like that? Frequently made mistakes.
He sings, I love.
So basically it is he, she and it.
Yes.
In that case, you have to use
singular form of the verb.
Yes.
He sings, she sings, it sings.
She has.
She has, yes.
Yeah.
Again, for the speaking test, the most commonly used subject in part 1 is I. Along with I, it should take the plural form of the verb. Even though I is singular, it is considered to be plural.
That means I have.
I have.
You should not say I has.
I
That's
know.
wrong.
I go. Right?
All right.
So, subject-verb agreement mistakes should be something that should be borne in mind, and you should do necessary practice to avoid these mistakes. If you have a tendency to make subject-verb agreement mistakes quite frequently, you should try to practice it by yourself. For example, if you constantly make mistakes when it comes to the subject as it, try to note down certain verbs that go along with it.
Try some sentences starting with it.
Yes, and by constant practice, you can get rid of it. Again,
other than this he, she, it, or I, you, we, they, you can also say, for example, scientists. That means it's plural, right? So scientists, you should say have. You cannot say has. This is also some things that you have to remember for your writing test as well as for your speaking.
But compared to writing, I think it's a bit more difficult in speaking, because
you don't have much time to think about
and speak,
it.
Right?
Yes. Because it will be a long pause then in that case. So that's about subject-verb agreement.
And again, mistakes in tenses. Tense mistakes is again something that is pretty serious, because if the question is in present tense, the answer to the question should also be in present tense. Forget about the explanation, but the answer to the question should exactly be in the sense.
For example, if you're given a question, do you like chocolates? If I'm saying, I loved chocolates when I was young. I used to eat a lot of chocolates because my father was working abroad. Something like that. So
yes, so this again is a clear deviation from the question. And at the same time, a mistake in tenses. But the sentence that she spoke is grammatically right. It's okay. But
tense is wrong.
Tense is wrong.
And even you're deviating from the answer.
Yes, that's there. Again, when it comes to Q-cut, make sure that you state the incident that is in the Q-cut exactly in the tense of the question.
Depends upon the question. There are certain instances when the part 2 question will be asked in past. Talk about a gift that you bought for your friend. So bought is something past.
So the incident that referred to this incident, the incident should entirely be in past tense.
Yes.
Whereas the description for the gift can be in present tense. Yes. Because it is something that is unchangeable, right? It is white in color. It is brown.
You cannot say it was white in color. Her name was, when you are asked who's your favorite teacher, her name was something. You cannot say that because her name is still the same. That's what he was referring to.
Right. Okay, so that's it with grammatical mistakes. Again, please note that other minute grammatical slips, not so serious mistakes, can be accepted for the speaking test. Remember, even native speakers make a few grammatical mistakes here and there as they speak. That's quite okay.
Although
but
you recognize it during your test that you made a mistake, do not stop there. Don't give a chance to the examiner to notice it. Just continue speaking without being tensed or worried. Doesn't matter, because that's just a slip.
yes.
All right. So we have our third point: tone of your speech.
Yes, tone, even though is not directly a part of the evaluation criteria, but it comes under pronunciation. Intonation comes under pronunciation. You should always make sure to maintain a few ups and downs in your speech. This is very important. Avoid using a monotone.
That means if you are talking about something important, or you have to give stress to it. I love chocolates. That's stress.
Yes.
Rather than being very flat when you talk.
So again, when you state an answer using a flat tone, it gives the examiner an impression that the answer is memorized, right? So
And also, as a listener, it's quite boring to listen.
It's quite boring to listen. Again, that's there. So you should have a bit of an up and down when you ups and downs in your speech. Also, try to make sure that you speak out with confidence. It should reflect in your tone. The level of confidence should reflect in your tone. Don't give a doubtful answer to the examiner. Whatever you say, whether be it right, wrong, whatever it is,
because you're just stating your opinion.
Yes, that's it. That's it. So when you state an answer, be confident. It should reflect in your tone. Also, it's equally important to be audible. Right.
Yes.
Some students have a tendency to state an answer in a tone.
If they don't know the answer well, they tend to speak in a low tone or a low voice.
Yes, that's right.
Which will be easily understandable by an
the
examiner.
The examiner would easily understand that. Again, clarity of speech is very important. As
one more point I would like to add is being expressive when you speak, because if they're asking you what do you feel about this particular scenario, if you are unhappy about it, your tone should be justifiable in such a way that you are unhappy
about it. Yes.
And if you are excited or happy about something, that should also be reflected when you speak. All right.
Yes.
I think the next mistake students make is not being fluent when they talk.
Fluency is again, of course, a criteria in the speaking assessment. It is very important to speak naturally at a moderate pace in a way to make the examiner understand what you intend to speak. Avoid hesitations. Minute hesitations are quite okay because
like humming sounds.
Humming sounds. It comes naturally, but don't hesitate to search for a word. For example, I am fond of. See, here I was.
Too many humming sounds.
Too long hummings. Yes, because here in this answer I was searching for the word fond of. So if you search for a specific word in between a sentence, and if you are trying to cover that by humming, by using a humming sound, that can affect the fluency. But again, by fluency, it doesn't mean that you need to speak too fast at an increased pace. It
will be difficult for the examiner to understand,
which again can affect your coherence.
Score, yes.
Right. So take necessary pauses in between sentences, convey the ideas effectively. Many students face this problem. They may not have enough ideas to complete an answer. For that, you should try to practice speaking by yourself. Take questions from the internet or from other sources. Try to speak for yourself, and then by attending coaching, we would definitely be able to correct your mistakes. Right. So to be fluent, it's very important for you to speak by yourself.
They can also practice by sitting alone. They can just take random topics and keep on talking. Some or the other time they'll be able to overcome it, rather than just keeping ideas and thinking about it in your mind. Okay, the last common mistake is that not using synonyms.
Yes, this is a pretty common mistake that a lot of students do. If you are specifically stuck somewhere between 6 or 6.5 and you want to improve your score to 7, this might be the point that you are lacking. It is very important to paraphrase the question. Try not to repeat the words in the question. For example, if the question is, do you like sports? You could say, yes, I love, instead of like, or yes, I enjoy playing sports, or
I'm interested in playing sports.
Yes, there are numerous ways to paraphrase the question.
Or again, in the negative sense, if you dislike something, You can say a negative sentence. No, I do not like it.
Whatever the answer is, try to give some sort of an
Synonym,
explanation,
yes.
and synonyms. Try not to state exactly the words in the question
And
asked.
also, just to give synonyms or just to use the synonyms, don't take long pauses. It will again affect your fluency level. So it is not necessary that each and every word that you have to use a different synonym. That's not we are exactly talking about, but the main sentence.
It might be difficult for a beginner to use synonyms spontaneously. Again, you can use the method that we've discussed before. Try to speak for yourself. When you speak in the beginning, or when you start your practice in the initial few practice sessions, try to think for synonyms, use it in sentences, and eventually
It
you
is
would get
okay to
used to it.
stop when you practice. It is okay to stop in between, then rephrase the sentence again,
Yes.
try out. If you're confident with sitting with your brother, sister, or anybody, friends, that's also fine. But never give up. Even if you are having a difficulty in the initial stage, once you start practicing, once you start,
it would become
it
much
would,
more
yes.
easier for you. Right, so that's it with today's video. We've discussed 5 common mistakes that many students make. Please try to support us by sharing our videos with your friends. Thank you so much once again for watching. A sub to our channel would be appreciable. Thanks again. Have a great day.